a great story about a shopping spree she had, in which she purchased a very cute cheerleading outfit for her puppy.
Oh.
And as she was telling the story, there was lots of energy, lots of excitement, big hand movements, lots of cuteness in her voice, her eyes were sparkling, and I was thinking to myself, I really wonder how her puppy feels about this cheerleading outfit that she's so very excited about. And I was thinking that we as humans, especially women, oftentimes we really enjoy dressing things up, whether it's ourselves or our children or our dogs or our homes. But dress up is a large part of feeling good and feeling as if other things feel good as well and look good. So I thought it would be a great topic for a speech. But when I started my research on dressing up dogs and the idea, I was really fascinated by the origins of our dogs. And the more I read in preparing for a speech about dressing up dogs, I was learning that the word dog and what we perceive as dogs and our domesticated four-legged animal friends derived from a very wild canine. And so I made a shift on my topic, and tonight I'd like to talk a little bit about how canines became domesticated and became man's best friend. So what I learned initially is that dogs were mutated by humans, and that about 33,000 years ago in East Asia, the canine was the first animal to begin a relationship with man. And the relationship began as human encampments were moving throughout the country. Dog packs would follow. And the interest of the dog pack was that they would get the scraps and the carnage from the hunters and the gatherers in the group. It then forged a mutual relationship and dependency because the hunters in the encampment received protection from the dog packs. And as the relationship grew, the boundaries between the dogs and the humans began to shrink. So as scavengers, the early wolves would, in feeding on the scraps, as the early wolves, as the generations progressed with the early wolves, the puppies, which similar to our young children, were playful and didn't know boundaries. And so the puppies would move further into the territorial area of the encampments. It's believed that the hunters then would keep the puppies and attempt to raise the puppies. And the domestication began in a very, very slow process, because although the puppies were familiar with the hunters, as they grew older, their natural instincts would kick in, and oftentimes the wolves, as they grew older, would then turn on the hunters. As the process then continued, the humans became more intentional in trying to train the wolves. And so what they would do is they would intentionally throw food closer to the boundary lines of the wolves. And the adult wolves, or the leader, would come closer to get the food and to bring it back to the pack. Replication of throwing the food and the wolves then expecting the food at a certain time and trusting that the food was going to come continued to build a relationship between the wolves and the hunters. And again, the boundaries begin to shrink. Although domestic dogs are known domestic dogs, although they are far from their ancestors, instinctually, they still have the capacity to attack. And if a dog is feeling, although a dog can be very happy and comfortable in their household, if a dog is feeling as if it is being mistreated, or its family, which is perceived by the dog as its pack, is being threatened, then the dog can then turn and become vicious. So the history of humans and canines, the early history, is really built on mutual trust and dependency between both species. And through that, it's formed an unbreakable bond between man and our dogs. The dogs, as a part of domesticating our dogs, when we bring them into their household, dogs from a puppy become dependent on their owners, on their family. And through positive reinforcement with our dogs, they then trust that they will be taken care of. They are part of our family, we are part of their pack. And that is how our wild canines have become our domesticated man's best friend. Thank you.